Major investigation forcing some neighbors to shelter in place, what we're learning from police. Plus, we're in South Carolina, where in a matter of hours, Raymond Moody will head to court, facing charges for the death of Brittany Drexel. And the role a new report says social media played in the racist mass shooting in Buffalo.
Well, we're kind of mired in this area of low pressure, sitting and spinning and rotating over the northeast. But look what's coming. High pressure and clear sky. I'll let you know when it gets to your house next.
From your breaking news and weather authority on Fox Rochester, this is 13 Wham News at 10.
And we begin with that breaking news in Webster, where several police agencies are on scene of what they're calling an active investigation. Right now, East Main Street from Phillips Road to North South Avenue in the four corners of the village are shut down to foot and vehicular traffic. And a shelter in place is in effect for some of the neighbors. Police are asking everyone to avoid that area. We do have a crew on scene, are expecting an update from police within the hour. Also breaking now, an apartment house will now be torn down after a fire this evening. This unfolding on J Street. Authorities say there are 3 apartments. 1 was vacant, 2 were occupied. Everyone was able to make it out safely. There are no injuries reported. Authorities tell 13 Wham that home will likely be torn down tomorrow morning. On to other news tonight. The man charged with the rape, murder, and kidnapping of a Chi-Li teen, Brittany Drexel, is heading to court. Drexel went missing in 2009 while on spring break in Myrtle Beach. It wasn't until this May that her body was found, and Raymond Moody was arrested. 13 Wham's Carla Rogner will be in court for Moody's first appearance before a judge since his arrest.
This street in Myrtle Beach was dedicated in Brittany's honor in 2012. This city is the last place Brittany was seen before police say she was kidnapped and killed by Raymond Moody. Brittany Drexel was last seen leaving a Myrtle Beach hotel on a spring break trip in 2009. 13 years later, her remains would be found in a wooded area of Georgetown County, South Carolina, about 30 miles south of Myrtle Beach. That discovery in May finally providing answers for her family.
This is truly a mother's worst nightmare. I am mourning my beautiful daughter, Brittany, as I have been for 13 years. But today, it's bittersweet. We are much closer to the closure and the peace that we have been desperately hoping for.
Having faith and hope is what's going to guide us through the end result.
Raymond Moody became a person of interest in 2011. In May, he became the prime suspect when the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office said he confessed to the crime. He was charged with Drexel's kidnapping, rape, and murder. Court documents allege she was strangled to death. Moody does have a criminal history. He was convicted of raping an 8-year-old girl in California in the early 80s and spent 20 years in prison before being paroled. In 2004, he returned to his hometown, Georgetown, South Carolina. In 2009, he moved into a motel about 30 miles from Myrtle Beach. That was just one day before Drexel disappeared. 13 years later, Moody would lead investigators to her remains just 2.5 miles away from that motel.
Brittany lost her life in a tragic way, at the hands of a horrible criminal who was walking our streets.
Family members have called for Moody to receive the death penalty if convicted.
I'm an eye for an eye guy. It's not Christian of me to say it, but because he's going to answer to someone higher than all of us.
Tomorrow, they will face Moody in court for the first time.
Raymond Moody's court hearing is scheduled for 10 o'clock this morning in Georgetown County, South Carolina. That's where Moody lived and Brittany's remains were found earlier this year. I will be in court and share updates in our newscast throughout the day. In Myrtle Beach, Carla Rogner, 13 Wham News.
5 months after a gunman went on a racist rampage in Buffalo, killing 10 people, a new report from the Attorney General, Letitia James, gives a closer look at the role social media played in that attack. New details document how fringe online platforms radicalized the man accused of gunning down 10 black people at a Tops grocery store in Buffalo in May. The mass shooting, a racist attack in a predominantly black neighborhood. A scathing new report from the Office of the Attorney General says a lack of oversight, transparency, and accountability helped fuel a fire of hate. The report, the result of a months-long investigation, looking at thousands of documents and social media content from nearly a dozen websites. The findings showing the suspect was radicalized by certain sites, offering racist and violent content, helping him plan, prepare, and publicize the attack. Investigators concluding the suspected gunman, quote, consumed voluminous amounts of racist and violent content, helping him prepare for the attack, and finally allowing him to broadcast it via live stream. The AG's office says many of these sites go unmonitored and continue to be breeding grounds for hate and radicalization. The report calls for state and federal reforms, creating new restrictions on live streams, added crackdowns on extremism, and industry service providers to do more. The suspect in that case is charged with domestic terrorism motivated by hate, along with 10 counts of first-degree murder. Ending the stigma surrounding mental health issues by starting a conversation. That's what a guest speaker at St. John Fisher is hoping to achieve. 13 Wham's Cheyenne Walker spoke with a man making it his mission that people no longer suffer in silence. Cheyenne?
Yes, Dan, for a long time, talks of mental health and suicide was a taboo topic. But since the pandemic, suicide rates have skyrocketed. In 2020 alone, nearly 50,000 people died by suicide.
22 years ago, Kevin Hines jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge, attempting to take his own life. However, he survived, and today he lives to tell his story.
I leapt off the Golden Gate Bridge thinking I had to die. What I learned that day was that my thoughts did not have to become my actions, and that suicidal ideations are the greatest liars we know, and we don't have to listen to them.
Hines, who has suffered with mental health issues since he was a teen, was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at 17 years old. Now, decades later, he speaks to people around the world, sharing his story.
The problem in America and around the world is that when someone we love has brain pain, mental illness, we invalidate that pain. We tell them to snap out of it, get over it, move on, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's all in your head. You're darn right it's in my head. That's where my brain is.
According to the CDC, nearly 46,000 people died by suicide just in 2020. That is one death every 11 minutes.
This has been going on for centuries, and it's time that I'm grateful that COVID brought it out in a way that allows people to talk about it more than ever before. What we want to do is talk about it in a way that educates instead of sensationalizes.
Claire Kruska is a junior psych major at Fisher and says she's grateful Kevin traveled to share his experience. She hopes the conversation helps end any stigma and allows students to speak more freely about their own experiences.
A lot of college students feel the pressure and don't really know the resources or don't feel comfortable getting the resources that they need. So I think having Kevin will be really eye-opening. And having him share his experience again will open that conversation up so that college students don't know that they're not alone.
And if you or someone you know needs help, you're encouraged to call or text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. In the newsroom, I'm Cheyenne Walker.
All right, an important story. Thank you, Cheyenne. We continue to follow the sexual abuse trial of former elementary school principal Kirk Ashton. More than 50 witnesses have testified for the prosecution so far. New testimony today included a boy who said Ashton touched or rubbed him a few hundred times when he was alone. The minor also testified he saw Ashton touch other students. Ashton was arrested last year and later resigned from Northwood Elementary in Hilton. Check out this video from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Meteorologists there had predicted a strong chance for snow, but Mother Nature had something a little extra in mind. Areas in that region picked up anywhere from just a dusting all the way up to 4 inches of the white stuff. Closer to home, some amazing images there of fall. This from the 13 Wham Skyview drone over Durand Eastman Park today. Lots of gorgeous colors and thankfully no snow falling yet, right, Scott?
That's Durand Eastman Park?
Yeah.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
Trying to put that in my head where that is exactly. It is gorgeous. All right, so hour by hour through the overnight tonight, we've got temperatures in the mid-30s. Take a look here as we have a partly to mostly clear sky, 37 by 5 o'clock. Currently, it is on the Wham Cam for you. Partly cloudy, 42. No real risk of rain or anything for the next several hours. Low pressure off to our west. It's diving in this direction, but before it does, it's curling all the rain back out toward Buffalo. Look at this shot from earlier today. You want something pretty? Somewhere over the rainbow, right there. That's the rainbow to go ahead and make a wish on. Beautiful day out there. A beautiful evening after those rain showers. Chilly, some sun tomorrow early. At the bus stop, we started in the mid-30s, end up in the upper 40s. Later in the day, more rain showers. The weather makes a 180. A 180 is a good thing. We'll talk about why coming up.
All right, still ahead on Fox Rochester. The crisis in Ukraine is getting dire as thousands sit without running water or power. And later, the reason police are now searching a landfill 2 weeks after a toddler went missing in Georgia.
Your Weather Authority extended forecast is brought to you by Lisa's Liquor Barn. Good day.